here tonight.
All right, I would like, good evening all. I'd like to call the Town of Rocky Hill Planning and Zoning Special Meeting of Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025 to order. I think maybe I'll just go to item 3. We have a public, so any comments from the audience to address to the commission on the POCD?
Good evening. My name is Mary Beth Maluccio. I live at 4 Kroll Farm Road. And I'm here to let you know that I did complete the survey, which I thought was very thorough, and opportunities to respond on so many different levels. And just in summary, there's a lot that I like. I like the community center, that has been built here. And I think it's been several years now, but the community/senior center, it's beautiful and it's pretty active. But I hope in the future that there's more that we can do with it, because I used to live in Weathersfield, and they have a community center there that they can rent out rooms, especially like kind of the ballroom, if you want to call it that. They use it for high school graduation events. People can rent it for a fundraiser. For instance, they have comedy nights that raise money for certain nonprofit activities. And I like involving the students in an internship, a municipal internship program. And I think that could even be interesting to residents as well, to get to know more about like the work that goes in, not only for paid people, but for volunteers. Like, I think a lot of people might shy away from volunteerism because they don't know what it's about and they don't know the time commitment and so forth. So it would be nice to have that available, more open to learning about it before people step up, or maybe more would step up, But another thing is, I'm looking for like a town center. I know it's probably come up a million times, but it doesn't have to be in the center, a commercial one. For example, I live off of Cromwell Avenue, and I know there's not a lot of open space right now that you can fill in Rocky Hill, but there is that outdoor parcel that's behind Carbone's Prime and Starbucks, that area there. There are some towns, like in West Hartford, they have this gastro park, and it's a place where it's outdoor seating, and they have food trucks, and there's very little on the property other than tables and chairs and maybe a few cornhole games, and it attracts young people, people of all ages who just want to be outside. They can bring their dogs, they can have a beer and something to eat, and the food trucks can come and go. I don't know what's going on with that space, but that would be walkable for a lot of people that live in that area, whether they're in apartments in the Cold Spring area or off France Street. There's tons of people that could walk or bike there and back. So I thought that would be an interesting addition to the town for outdoor socializing. And you probably meet your neighbors better in a place like that than you do in your own neighborhood, because people are always going somewhere. But also to encourage, maybe, again on Cromwell Avenue, the commercial property owners to update and beautify their space to create, for example, more outdoor seating for restaurants, and maybe more landscaping, like maybe a little bit less parking and a little beautification. I know you don't, our town doesn't own that property. It's probably owned by someone, the land, and people lease it, but if we could do anything to encourage them to do that, and maybe even create more space between the road and the property, where it's either trees, bushes, a fence, I don't know, but just to have it look nicer, and be more comfortable sitting in there, outside, because outside has really become very popular when we can. And also, we have a lot of apartments, and it just occurred to me that if there is any other space to build housing and affordable housing, I wondered if there was any consideration of a tiny house development. I know some towns in New York, upstate, have that, and it's very neighborly, and there are young people that might like that. That's a starter home for them. Or people who are retired and maybe have a place in Florida and they wanted to downsize up here but have some presence. I thought it provides a little more privacy than being in an apartment complex, So I just thought that would be a neat idea. And in terms of the sidewalks and the bikeways, some town, I know that it's expensive to put in sidewalks, the cement that you put on sidewalks and the creation of that space between the road and the sidewalk. But I know in Newington, they just expanded the width of the road and moved the curbs back because you have room to do that. And that way it creates more space for walking or biking on the road itself. But because it's got a white line there, instead of having this much space to walk on the road, you have this much space. So it's a little more safe, probably cheaper. And people are really looking for it, especially on France Street, leading all the way up and down for many residents. And Cold Spring again, too, for the apartments. So that was just a few things that I wanted to, and Brook Street, there's that land there that I don't know, I don't think the town would have to own the land to maybe lease the land. It would be a lot cheaper to do something like that if that was where there was a gastro park or a tiny home residential area. And then there's this little space on Route 3 across from the animal hospital that's been there empty for quite a while. And that would be another place to be useful to people in the neighborhood who would want to go and have whatever there, a little outdoor area. Again, with proper landscaping and maybe mobile trucks and food trucks and so forth. Just ways to get to know your neighbors outside of your home or even your street. I think that would be something that I would appreciate. Just some ideas. And thank you for the work that you're going to be doing for a while.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, I think we're just going to discuss about the plan of conservation development. I believe we are still getting the comments from the public, right, on the
Yeah,
survey.
I don't have an exact number, somewhere between 225, 250. We're in
Okay.
that vicinity as far as the number of surveys back. So, obviously, initially, we had a lot at the end of every day, and it's kind of tapered off. So we need to make sure people do go online and fill out a survey, maybe another Facebook post. It's my understanding that the announcements on the electronic message boards as well, we got that on there, so make sure you let people know. And we have a good range. It goes from the early 20s to the mid to late 90s. So,
So I think we just have to now summarize it, and then we can,
yeah, but now, and I will be in touch with John Murphy as far as getting the ranking and rating those questions, because with a few buttons, he can get that for us as far as which is more important. And I'm working on summarizing all the other things. And you wanted some specific comments, because I was talking to Mary Beth from the audience right before the meeting, and yes, there are still those themes I mentioned at the other meeting. And I put the minutes from that meeting on here, the draft minutes, just so you can kind of see what we did discuss at the last meeting. But for example, when they talk about sidewalks and walkability, some of the surveys were very specific as far as specific locations. but that's a general theme throughout the survey. So we're going to kind of look at it at the high view, and then we can take it down to the specific details. So.
So I think what we have today on our table is, Victor has put together this whole document together, assembled it. So, we had provided comments. I think he took everybody's comments in, made changes. At the last meeting, we covered all the topics. We went through all the chapters of the POCD. And probably what we can do today is just go through again and just finalize it so that we can, start publishing it for public comment or, even council and, other commissions. So,
Yeah, I thought I brought, because I had taken this and actually put some comments on the hard copy when I went home. And
Yep.
Between meetings, I don't have it with me though, unfortunately, but
So I
Some
think
of
we,
them are minor.
right, I mean, we can go through this and then at your leisure, when you go home, if you have more comments, just mark these up and, we can send it back to Kim. Right?
To that point,
Yeah.
just make sure your leisure is like this week,
Today.
it has to be, it
because
has to be
I
now.
can't wait until the last minute to put the edits in. My intention is to have this thing done, at least edited to a point where Kim can submit it for
Yeah, it's.
whatever
it's-
she needs to
And
do.
it's a draft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a draft, because after the hearing, there may be something that someone comes up with that, so, and we want to get it out to people to have a chance to look at it, so.
Right, we should send it out as soon as possible so people get a lot of time to, So, you want to?
Yeah, so basically, I made an attempt at redesigning the cover. This printed with
With,
the comments, it
Yeah, this
shouldn't have,
was-
that's my fault, I rendered it wrong, so.
no, I think,
It will be the full page.
yeah, you sent something afterwards, and Lynn got both of them, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't,
The second one is one that's full page. The first one had the comments in it, which it shouldn't have. That's why I should have just deleted the email, but oh well. So I made an attempt at the cover, tried to encompass some new stuff. Dividend, I did a facility, so I picked Elm Ridge, did the town center. I chose that angle because Kelson Row is being built and I didn't feel like doing a rendering. So this is on our website. This is all through for our town center, so that was my mindset for the cover. I used the yellows that are in the logo. That's why I chose yellow. So that's my feeling on the,
Do you want to give like a description of?
it's on
or-
page
Oh,
2.
okay,
Or, yeah, it's on page 2.
okay, the cover, yeah.
Yeah, so as you look at the second page when it has the index, the pages numbers are not right because I know it's gonna change, so I'm not gonna change them. But if you look, the cover photographs are on the left-hand column there, and it shows the cover photographs illustrate some of the things that make Rocky Hill special, and the 4 things are there.
Yep.
The appendix list, just so we're on the same page, the affordable housing plan is A, resiliency plan is B, and the greenway plan is C.
now, is that what we had talked about with Walk Bike Rocky Hill, with the?
That
is
is the plan that the town council approved.
Okay,
If it's not, please let me know, because that's what I thought it was. So that's the only reason why.
okay. We have that.
The next page is just an introduction from Dimple, since he's the chairman. And then it goes into acknowledgements in our prior document. The acknowledgements are at the end. It seems that anybody who's redone their POCDs, put the acknowledgements in the beginning, so I figured we should do that. Kim, I need assistance on technical and administrative assistance. Beside you, any town staff you
And
want in there.
besides you,
Yeah, beside, if you can give me a list of any town staff you want in there,
okay,
that'd be cool. Otherwise, everything else is literally from what it was in the old document. outside of the commission is changed. The introduction is kind of the same, except the dates are blanked out because we don't have the dates of when the public meeting was and when the adoption is. And then this next page is just a straightforward, what is the statute that says we need to do a POCD? So, and this is, to Dimple's point, we talked about objectives, but this is what dictates it should be called policies and not objectives, right? Right.
Yep.
So the first section is conditions and trends. Kind of change the pictures around there. Got some new pictures there. Reached out to the Historical Commission, the Historical Society, and the town historian actually wrote this for us. So I literally got it in there and tried to decorate a little bit with some historical pictures. Thank you, Ron, for that picture of the Congregational Church there. So that's what this is. If we want to add to it, if we want to take away from it, if we like what it says about the history of Rocky Hill, just go through it. But just so you know, the Historical Society wrote that for us, the entire history section. Just going by the old POCD, this section has a bunch of all the data when it comes to the town, kids in school, projections, economy of the town, that kind of thing, which I have no
We have
idea.
some of that here. I have old enrollment from last budget session. I can get the new ones for this budget session,
Yeah, if
as
you
long
could-
as he'll give them.
I kind of did this wherever we needed data, I just highlighted and
Yep.
says need data here. So, because my goal was to have a document for this meeting so we could just go through the document. And then every map that I thought would translate over, I brought in. I need everybody to double check these maps to make sure they're actually the maps, up-to-date maps. You'll see later on in the document, there's some up-to-date maps from town engineering, which I didn't like the way they printed, so I'm gonna have to do something with that.
Probably this is a different map.
Yeah, but it's, just need help from town
Leaders, yeah.
staff to what we need there, so I put in what I thought should be in there, but I need someone from town staff to verify all these maps.
I had to get John,
Yeah, that's a different map.
Yeah.
so.
which,
Just need it updated. So the schematic land use map, it's not a zone map, it's where things should be, but I do agree.
no,
it
this
needs to be
isn't what
updated.
should be. This should be what is.
Yeah,
This is supposed to be what is. And at the time, this was from our last plan.
yeah, so
that may
page
have-
8 needs to be updated. And then we get into page 9, where it didn't really touch this because this is the survey stuff. So that's what this whole section will be driven by the survey.
And I don't think we want to put in the prouds and the sorries, because that's what's from before.
Yeah, we're gonna change that.
Yeah. Because we have likes and dislikes. I mean, we have that.
Yeah.
in, survey.
So that's the kind of the motif behind this section is literally dive into the surveys and public comments, and that will drive this whole section. So then we get to page 16, conservation strategies. Updated the pictures there of some different things in town. I can put a legend there, but it's the Dividend Pond, Quarry Park, the ferry, the river area, and I believe it's the Riverside Farm, river on France Street. Show some love out there, and that farm's out in France Street. So as we went through conservation strategies, most of the bulk of the changes here were just cleaning up stuff that's either old or just fine tuning it. For example, well, actually, before I get there, no changes on 17, no changes on 18, no changes on 19. I'm assuming 20, map on 20 is not gonna change.
I think like,
But I need verification on that.
That one may need to be updated.
for the entire document, right? Like, for example, on 17, aquifer protection, we have town-defined area, like section 5.3. So we should always check
Make sure that
that
is.
section is correct.
Well, because that will change.
Right.
You might not want to actually put a section number in there, because after this document is done, then the regulations have to kind of change
So would you
to.
just say the zoning regulations?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
So we should just look at
yeah.
everywhere where we reference, you know.
Okay, that's cool, that's fine. So, to your point on page 17, there's a lot of references to old report maps, like include the boundary of the town aquifers protection district and zoning map in 1987 report. I mean, is there any newer report than 1987 that we should consider, or is it, or just,
Maybe we can talk to
Yeah,
Deep. Deep may have, or maybe wetlands may have. I don't know if they have worked on any reports.
I don't think there's been any changes.
Yeah, I mean, it won't change, but
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
if there is like something latest with the
Yeah.
latest date,
yeah,
we can put that in, so.
yeah,
We're using the level A aquifer
Yep.
mapping from
Right.
deep, yeah.
Yep.
I don't
It's not
know.
going to change much.
I don't think
It's
it's changed. I don't know.
think
but
it's-
we should download the latest
just the date and
I don't
then.
think
GIS file for that.
so would you say that the pictures on 18 are from the 1987? Would you say all that data's from 1987?
No, because see, the second.
says
July
2014.
It says
2014.
2014.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So that means 1987 should
Yeah,
be
so-
2014?
so maybe we change that depending, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if there's anything
I was
more
confusing this,
current.
this area here. So this should be 2014?
We'll see if there's anything more current than that. I don't know that I don't think it's changed.
So, page 19 for policies and action steps.
Once again, take out section
Yeah.
5.3, review provisions of the zoning regulation.
Yep. I'll do that overall. Page 20, like I said, the natural resource map. I don't know if, I just need to make sure, you guys, someone from staff needs to make sure that that's right. Modifications on 21 kind of went into the bond. In the prior POC or the current one, we talked about getting the bond. And this one, how we used it.
Yep.
Basically, just talked about Stratska Farm, but if we need to dig into more that was done with that money, we can. But I figured the big chunk of it was Stratska Farm, but there were other things done with.
Purchase of farm development rights.
I think in France Street, right, that
Hayes
farm,
Hayes
Right,
was
right.
purchased.
Yeah, but you could, I mean, you could make a generalized statement
Purchase
as
farm
far as purchase of development rights for
right,
several farms in town.
yep.
Well, a big theme with the surveys was also preserving farmland, and if we can, creating farmland.
The rest, the second part of that, nothing's really changed. To Commissioner Robbins' point last week, we want to interconnect open spaces. We talked about that last time. On page 22 is one of the new maps that we got for the town, and I'm assuming this is open parcels. And I'm not sure if this is open
Yeah,
parcels.
I think
or-
it's 5 acres or more. That's what.
So is this the right area for it in the document? Because we talk about open space and conservation?
I would-
Or was that intent something else?
Well,
know what the
these
intent
are,
of this map.
this is existing types of open space, whether it be.
Oh, it's in the right spot.
It's in the
Okay.
correct section.
all right.
Because
Maybe
obviously.
we can,
if you wanna-
we can just mention it, like, the map, whatever, if there is defined, we can say this is like
Well, it says
I think it's vacant land
Yeah, an
and
open area,
open
5
space.
acres or more.
Right.
It has different things, part of a conservation easement, whether it's a dedication in a subdivision, whether it's a park.
Title it.
Yep,
So there's
yeah.
various.
And then plain that is, so it's.
Yeah.
it's something.
I mean, it's hard to size.
Yeah.
I think if it's a full, we'll be able to read it.
Page 3, just updated some pictures. What's in there, Nebraska Farm, Dividend Road, and described them down, some open space stuff.
I mean, I know, I think one of the comments Kim had was like when you have minors, when you put picture
Well,
of minors, hopefully,
But if you identify,
you're fine, right?
yeah, no, they're, yeah,
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 yep,
yeah, that's okay.
okay.
I think I may switch this Maxwell Park out because it shows the mail truck hiding in the, behind it.
What
So
do you,
I may switch this one out.
what's wrong?
On page 23, there's a,
Oh, yes.
Do you go out and take picture or
no, no.
maybe I'll start doing that, it's like maybe.
24 did not change. It seems like it was very straightforward. This has subdivision, section 711, so we'll go, to your point, through the entire document. We'll get rid of sections.
Now, keep in mind, our subdivision regulations were updated after that. They were updated in 2019. So a lot of the things with the subdivision regulations have changed. I know there's one page in here where you highlight a bunch of different things in subdivisions have to be changed, and those were all changed in 2019, so.
So we can just add existing condition, like we changed it, we recommended, but then we changed it.
So where it says,
but
like,
where
some
it says-
communities have established a regulation where lot size requirements are reduced as more open space is preserved. We've done that.
So in the big, right above that, we did that, because it says, significant open space benefits could also be achieved if 30% of the land area is preserved and this and that, so we did some language.
So we have to manipulate this, this was proof of performance. Basically, we did this.
Yes.
That's fine. Page 25, let me see, I don't, yeah, none of that has changed. But the next page is highlighted, and that's where I need to make some changes.
Yeah, that was done.
So 9 should be just deleted,
Yes, all this was done.
and then how about 10? That should be done too?
I thought I brought them with me tonight. Yeah, that was done too.
Okay, cool.
We rewrote the entire subdivision regulation.
Okay.
Oh, great.
The,
But I think because action steps, we have to come up with a plan to connect. That's one of the big goals, is to connect open space where we can. So I don't know if we have the connectivity in here.
talk about connection in number 5. We talk about connection in number 3.
Okay, now we're talking specific areas here.
Do we generalize it, or do you want to keep them more specific?
Connect existing and new open space recreation areas together. So it's more number 3 I'm talking about, I guess, yeah.
You want to generalize number 3?
Well, number 3 is pretty general, I'd say, right now,
Okay.
but that's good.
Is it an actual statement, integrated green belt or buffer system? I don't know what that means. Is that an actual technical term in an open space world? a green belt or buffer system?
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, but what is a green belt? Is it literally
Trees.
just,
Like a linear,
It's a wooded green.
linear strip of.
just, that's all, that's what it is? It's literally what it is, a belt, a green belt?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
What's the number 12, the signage or marking program, the open spaces?
Yeah, that's,
What is that?
that's basically, how does a resident know where an open space is? We should put a sign in front of it that says, this is open space. Like you, so you can use it. Like to
Some
be
of,
honest with
some
you,
of it's public open space, and
without this
people may
document, I
not
would not
know.
know that I can walk in that area because there's no sign that says it can. So kind of like a delineation.
It's wayfinding stuff type of.
Yeah,
Okay, do we have any signs up at all?
no.
I think they have started putting signs up. When we met at PIC, remember
Yeah,
Ed was trying to, and we got some signs
I
up.
think that was open space signs, that was trails and parks, recreation.
Yeah.
No, this wasn't just open space. Like we have 50 acres out of outer France. Who even knows it's there?
Yeah. Everyone thinks it's just owned and, but
We'll go take a picture of it.
you want that in here? Want that in here? Put it in here?
Does a green belt include recreational areas? Only because there's not much, other than grass, there's not much that's green in a recreation area. In the sense of vegetation. I'm just thinking of Ridge Park, or it's just a big open field.
Yeah.
It's open space.
But I know there had been discussions in the past of taking a trail and connecting the end of Webster Lane, through the wooded area to Elm Ridge Park. So in that case, you'd be creating an access way to the park.
I mean, I think there was a subdivision that we approved that had given a town back area for connection, like trails and all that.
I just looked it up real quick. The essence of a green belt is an invisible line designating a border around a certain area, preventing development of the area and allowing wildlife to return and be established. But if we have a recreation area that's like Elm Ridge Park, that's not
Okay.
conducive to. It's just a word of semantics here. Should we have the word recreation areas? Should we just leave it, seek to connect existing and new open space together into an integrated green? Because it seems like,
Well, you could
Recreation
create areas going from an open space that may be wooded and not developed for recreation purposes
recreation area can be
to,
open space, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not a green belt. So we were saying here, integrate it into a green belt or buffer system.
so maybe the word.
I'm just wondering if,
Maybe just don't say anything about green belt or buffer, just stop at together, just keep it general.
Seek to connect
It's gonna
existing
be-
and new open space?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be opportunistic.
Do you want to take out recreation areas? Is that what you're saying, Ron?
Well, we should.
You can say
connect them
open
to-
space and recreation areas, and then that's it.
Recreation means like walking too, right? Like
And
paths.
then after that,
So
take it
number
out.
3, seek to connect existing and new open space and recreation areas.
That's it.
Blank.
Yep.
Everything else is gone.
Okay?
Because we don't have, whose definition we are using, right? Give
Yeah.
green belt, that's another,
Yeah.
it's another thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what a green belt
but
is.
the point I was making at the last meeting too was that we also should have, work to create open spaces that are not necessarily always for public use or recreation or trails, but that, sustain, improve, and/or maintain ecological diversity, biodiversity, and natural habitat. So,
Now,
Just-
Would that be-
That's part of your what's on the
yeah,
table here?
those are my comments
Yeah.
over on
This
that.
came too
Yeah.
late. I couldn't get it in because
So
it
this-
came too late
this-
because I had
yeah,
to
I-
get it to her to print.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine to create open space and connect, new open space and with recreation areas and so on. That does create a buffer, all that. But, and I'm thinking maybe it's just another bullet point would be to implement strategies through the development of open space, to, wherever possible, to preserve, natural wildlife habitats. And
Would you say what you wrote are action steps? Or would you say you
I
want
think
to
we could
integrate
take
that
what
in?
I put three bullets under the strategy section.
Yeah.
Under open space, but I think we could, as an action, we could put it into one bullet point.
Okay.
Well, I think that last one on the first page. I'm thinking of the areas out paralleling New Britain Avenue. You have two swaths of wetland areas that literally parallel New Britain Avenue, and you have a ridge in between with this development, and those other areas are conservation areas.
Yeah.
Or designated as open space or conservation easements.
Right.
And that's a
That's
perfect example of what you're talking about.
Good.
So now we get to farming, page 27. I kind of reworked this section to talk about what we've done with farmland preservation. Since farmland preservation kind of came out of the last POCD, we talked about trying to get it integrated into this section at our last meeting. So wove that in, as well as in action steps, we weeded some out, I weeded this section of all the stuff that we did, and then we added a suggestion for the VOAG program at the high school. Rock Hill School System, I didn't isolate it to the high school, I just said Rock Hill School System. So if you guys think we need anything more when it comes to the farming, most of this was basically taking out everything that we've done in the last farming.
We do have a right to farm ordinance. We have that already.
Oh, so number 5 goes away. Okay,
So rather than taking it away, like, I think we had some way of keeping, right? So can we say,
Implement?
no, it's already implemented, but
we said
continue.
maintain,
Or
continue.
maintain something,
An actionable, how to go forward, like a
so,
verb to
so
go
it's
forward.
there,
Yeah,
you know, rather than just,
with more. Yep,
something like maintain.
sure. Done.
Now with the 7, who would be the partners? Because
I don't know that.
We'll need, right, Kim?
The
So-
DOE has to be the leader on it, because it's the school system.
Maybe UConn,
Staff?
co-op extension,
N-
that could help to be a resource.
So these are like partners, like more of a town,
Yeah.
you know?
That's the one thing I didn't have in here, is the legend
So maybe
of who these people are.
You could be generic and just put down staff, because it may be.
town staff,
Maybe,
maybe
yeah,
we say town
yeah,
staff.
yeah.
Because we have, oh yeah, town,
No, Tom.
just like at the top, yep. Town.
I just realized I'm missing what all these things mean at the back, so I'll put that in.
Yeah, we have.
Which,
It's, I just,
Oh.
like, didn't make it. And the 490 map, I'm assuming it hasn't changed, but obviously we need to.
I think there's a few.
Need someone else to
a
look at
few-
that.
Few that
and
are
I'll-
added.
I'll talk to, yeah, there's a few that have been added, and I'll get that from Stuart.
Yep. Okay, so we said,
Stuart's our assessor, for those that don't know.
Some of the land in the meadows is being farmed.
Well, they have to have 490 status. It just, you can say it's a farm, but it has to have the 490 status for this.
for 490 is for tax purposes, so they get reduced tax. They are not, you know, they are not taxed as all 100 acres, like, you know.
Which,
Your comment?
oh, did you have something?
No, you asked the question, right? Or did you?
No, I think the question came from there, so I was just,
Parcels, it looks like in the meadow, with most of that's being farmed, but not all of it's under that status.
so what happens is they get designation as 490, there's a section, state section.
I understand that.
So,
I just didn't know
Why is there gaps?
why is there gaps?
oh, why is it?
I
The
don't know.
town could own those.
But if it's still being farmed,
But it may not be 490. so for tax purposes. So 490 is for tax
It may
purpose.
not have just gone through the legal process of
Okay.
establishing it as
Yeah.
490.
Okay.
It would show on the assessors.
So 490 is for tax, so that's why, you know.
That's something I have to talk to the assessor about.
Right, Stuart, he will have updated list.
Page 29, preserve and enhance community character. We talked about this. The ad here was consider expanding streetscape along state roads in town. We talked about that last meeting. I had a question about number 7, consider establishing and implementing a PA 490 open space program in order to, I mean, technically we have that, right? Is there a difference between a PA 490 farm plan and a PA 490 open space plan? I'm not sure.
Not that I'm aware of, I don't know.
I have to check, I think.
Because this here, it says, this here is literally talking about open space.
It's a
So-
perceived, like they say, it's a perceived green space.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with 7, so I left it there because it was there. But I didn't understand number 7.
All right, so we'll just double check what that is, right?
I mean, even though it's an existing, if there's an existing PA 490 farm there, there's no guarantee that it's gonna stay open space. If that farmer wants to turn around and sell their property and it turns into a subdivision.
Right, but this statement is saying that there's a PA 490 farm plan, and then there's a PA 490 open space plan. And this document is saying we should establish one. So I'm assuming there's two different types of plans here. And we did the farm, but we did not do the open space, according to this. And is there a difference between the two? So that's the only, I didn't understand that, so that's why I'm bringing it out to, because it seems like it would be an ordinance because the town council is the leader on it. So it has something to do with the status. And then I still wouldn't know what that meant. An open space, so
And that's
basically
more of a
someone who has open space
land
can.
Okay,
valuation
so
thing.
Public Act 490 is Connecticut's law that allows your farm, forest, or open space land to be assessed at its use value rather than its fair market or highest and best use value.
But it's not,
You know,
yeah, it's an assessor thing.
it's an
not-
assessor
not-
thing.
It's not,
So I think it
So
is,
that's fair.
it is fair.
Okay.
It's
It is
not a
fair.
zone.
So if someone had an open piece of land, they wanted to basically say, I want a lower thing because I,
Yeah.
hunted or I do something, then it's not, okay.
So, yeah, there is an example where there is a house,
Yeah.
but they had a lot of land.
Yeah.
And that particular land, they deeded as open space. It's just deeded for property tax purposes, that's it.
But it's not
But
open
it's
space for
not
people to
preserved,
use.
it's not
It's not-
necessarily preserved open space.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be developable, but once it's developable,
Then
then you
that
lose the
status
PA
goes away.
490 status.
Right.
So it's conditional.
If the land is given as open space, does that,
Given is the word.
Oh, you
there.
know what I think, maybe, does PA
no, this is,
490 open?
it's an assessment, it's an assessment.
It's an assessment.
Yeah,
But
it's-
if we put but through the implementation strategy, it gets back to the comments I sent last night. If we put a conservation easement or an open space requirement on a development, can that become PA 490 land so that they get a tax benefit?
well, would they
Well,
be
aren't they
paying
giving it to the
taxes
town?
on it?
If they get a conservation easement on their property, they get a tax, have an assessment, like break on that portion of the property. And they're assessed, for
That's not
example,
handed to
in-
the town?
The town doesn't take ownership of the land?
if it's a conservation easement.
no,
PA
we don't
490,
own
if it's not, we don't take ownership of it.
Space?
If it's a dedicated deeded to the town, yes.
And I only bring up that point because
This is just land value. The
That's
land is
way back.
valued at a different rate.
almost half of my property is conservation easement.
The acres?
But the
the
town
acres you
taxed
own?
me like it was a big piece of land. So I had to argue that my conservation easement was the equivalent of farmland, which is at a lower tax rate.
So it's that.
And I didn't win that for appeal the first time around. And then I put up a shed and I got a chance to do it again, and then I won the second time around.
Yeah, so,
So this is a valid statement.
yeah, that's a valid statement. You can have open space.
So that paragraph above it referenced gateway multiple times in that.
Where are you? Yeah,
Page
we have to
29.
speak into the microphone
Yeah, you have to
because
speak
our,
in, yeah.
thank you.
Page 29, scenic resources, that's where he is.
Okay.
So what are you talking, okay.
It references gateway twice there. I just didn't know if that was a concern since we were scratching gateway out of the last bullet point, an earlier bullet point.
So I think that the gateway point is like, when you are entering from 91 highway coming in Rocky Hill. So that's like creating a gateway to Rocky Hill, like welcome, there is a, sign, there is some nice, greenery, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's the gateway to the town.
Okay.
That's what they're talking about.
There's a map in here, and I can't remember where it is, where they highlight the gateways to the town. I think it's later on in the planning area.
Oh, I
Where they
see.
literally highlight like.
Yeah, it states that on bullet point 3. Signage, landscaping,
And,
lighting.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I just,
Yeah.
I'm good.
yeah.
Page 30, kind of really no change here. When I asked the Historical Society, Historical Society to look at the historical section, they also sent some goals over of the Historical Society. I did not integrate them into here yet because I did not get to them yet. So I'm going to go through those and I can see if that aligns with anything in this section here. If we see anything that's different that we should add or change here, but can't change history. We like number 4, we like number 5, so.
Yeah, I think like, for example, number 3, right, when I believe like we had got one project where they wanted to change. It was a historic, so we were trying to
On Main
retain
Street,
that.
on Old Main
right,
Street,
On
yeah.
Main Street. We also talked about putting some plaques and stuff like that, so you have a history there,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
On page 31, I highlighted that because we need to talk about the Architectural Review Advisory Board, and if we're gonna keep it, or does it still exist? So I didn't know what to do with that, so I highlighted it.
So I think
Board-
Kim
The board
pointed out.
itself does not exist. They fell out of lack of quorums, what have you, they did not exist. The Design Review Advisory Board was, the ordinance was redone. We have an ordinance on the books on the town clerk's website about the creation of an architectural review board. But they're not appointing people to it.
So it's still valid then, because it's an
What-
ordinance.
So it's an architecture review advisory board. Yeah, so that is valid. Okay, yep.
I know one of the concerns has always been that such a board not hinder the process going through our commission. So the time frame had to be in concert with this process. So they would have to start their process after they apply
Yeah.
here, and then conclude their process before you give a decision.
So we'll keep all that.
I mean, if it doesn't work out again, even if we could establish the Architectural Review Advisory Board to help adopt and maintain design guidelines that
That
its
could be-
commission could use.
That would
in
be a
its
little
zoning
more-
regulations, and then we could follow
Yeah.
through with it, if the timing doesn't work out. But we do need some solid guidance about what architecturally compatible structures look like, you know, in a line with our vision for the town.
Yeah, I mean, we can get back to that Public Act 2129 when they talk about, you can't talk about community character, you can talk about physical site character. So, yeah.
I think under the leader, DRB should change to like, do you want to change to ARB? Because DRB was Design Review Board.
But yeah,
That-
we don't have architecture review board, so right now it needs to be
So what do we put there?
maybe the,
Because they haven't, see, we have ordinance, we haven't created a board, so I think what we are saying is, if there is any entity, it is going to be this board. I mean, we are just identifying that as a board, and then now, next step would be to have membership, right? I think that's,
and we might want to we might have the town take a look at that, like in item 3, where maybe the criteria is too, stringent for whoever's on the board.
Yeah, that's why we
That's-
give them the modify option.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it says modify or repeal or whatever. But I think DRB should be
DRB should
changed
go
to
away
be
to ARAB.
and we can put it here, like, in parentheses, or define it,
Yeah, it's gonna be at the
or
back.
define it, yeah.
Was action step number 3, is that something that someone was thinking about repealing the architectural review advisory?
No, so it's either modify or repeal, it just,
So number 4 should change and get rid of design, including a design review board?
yeah, because, yep, include.
Well, number
design.
4, yeah, okay.
Yep, because see, I think we can just say establish a meaningful architecture review advisory board.
And then adopt and maintain design guidelines, that could be
Right, and then just continue.
the
adopt and
architecture
maintain.
review board along with PZC.
Well, no, number 4 is establish a meaningful design review process in Rocky Hill, which means, to me, that means is that how does the architecture review advisory board work? And then number 5 is just, how they keep on going, how they work.
Adapt and design.
So number 3 is establish, number 4 is how they work, number 5 is their ultimate
But if
goal.
they don't establish, you folks should have.
So we should also get rid of this, right? Design review
Yeah,
board, okay.
yeah. Okay. We all talked about 32, page 32 staying, because it was a representation of,
Going back to that action step 5.
yep.
Under partners, should that be like PZC and staff? Similar to what we have, because I think to your point, Kim, P&Z should be involved somehow, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So rather than just staff, we should identify PZC, comma, staff.
So should number 4 be PZC and not PAC? I don't even know what PAC is.
Premature atrial contractions.
Political Action Committee,
Ooh,
Yeah, right. Oh, no, we don't want that.
no,
let's see, is
in the
that
back.
in here?
yeah, it's in the back. Is that a typo? It's a typo.
Could be.
It's a typo, yeah,
That should be PZC also.
yeah,
See, that typo lasted 10 years.
yeah. I think Glenn should give us money back.
Yeah. So page 32 is, we all decided that should stay, so that's why that stayed. Page 33, kind of need some stuff from Parks and Rec in this area. I sent an email
To Rita.
to Rita Chabra
Yep.
to see if she had any pictures or anything that can go in this section. I mean, it's kind of generalized with it. We talked about it, but this document should be decorated with some people pictures. And I know there's rights issues when it comes to people pictures, so you want backs rather than fronts, and that kind of thing. So, and we want a variety of events in the town, not just like, you know, the bonfire or whatever it is. There's-
I think if you reach
Yeah.
out to Mike,
Yeah,
that'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
I think that'll be good too.
Yeah.
okay.
He does have
The
a lot
quicker
of
you can
stuff.
get them to me, the better. Page 34 is that map that we were talking about where the gateways are, and this kind of hasn't changed other than the, actually, I don't know if it's changed. I need guidance on if this has changed, because open space and farm areas, and looks like it's just the integration of all the maps in the section in one map. So need some guidance on that map from staff
think we
to
might
make sure
change
that's
that
okay.
too.
Do we have all the individual historic sites on here?
Well, that's the
Only
thing.
looks like there's 3.
No, you have the districts.
Yeah, there's the districts,
know you
but
have-
beneath it, the little red square, individual historic sites, and there's like 3. The Goff House.
Staff needs
Yeah,
to,
that would be very
Staff needs
busy,
to go through
unless we
that.
want to do A. If we
Oh.
want to do, we would probably do a blow up then.
Because I don't, like the Duke of Cumberland Inn's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a whole nother map.
Wow.
This scale.
Yeah,
page 35, reached out to, as part of the sustainable
Rocky Hill.
Rocky Hill, reached out to them to try to expand on this section, and they sent over some goals, and so I worked them into the document. If you guys see anything different, or you want to add something to the section, but I figured just have the expert write their section, and I manipulate it into the document.
and I would refer on these pages to the appendix also.
Because we just adopted book, right, or something?
Well, we have the resiliency findings from that workshop we did. And the creation, you would want to create, we would like to create a resiliency plan. That's not a plan itself, that's just results of a workshop and
Okay.
ideas, yeah.
So
We'd like to-
So, that's an appendix, so would you say in the first paragraph, see appendix, whatever it is, A, B, or C,
Whatever.
whatever it is? Okay. Okay,
So, and they have some good maps and stuff, but,
yeah, it's gonna go in the back.
yep, it will
I just
go
didn't-
the whole
I
thing.
didn't wanna make it part of the
Yep,
document, because we
yep.
don't
Yes.
care about it for right now.
So this is same, or we created?
All right, well, this is all the same, except we've changed, we added a town drainage study should be done to try to mitigate severe flooding events. Number 11, encourage and promote sustainable practices in all town facilities. And most of it is either stuff that's been done or was taken out, and this is kind of the same.
Yeah, because before it was established, now we said support.
Yeah.
Yep,
Number 5 was changed to support Sustainable Rocky Hill. If you talk to them, they have a certain point system, and everything that can
Yep.
happen in here can get them points
Money
to,
and-
money and
yeah.
points, so
Yep.
that's what number 5 was geared
Yeah,
toward.
they're close to silver now, just so you know.
silver, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right now.
And number 8 is continue to review resiliency plan rather than establish a resiliency plan.
Yep.
Continue to review and improve hazard mitigation, even though we have one, that type of thing.
What do we do?
So if you see any bad word usage, please let me know.
So number 9, it says establish one or more local shelters for when they are needed in the future. So I think we have created that as part of our preparedness now, like high school, or that's
It
different.
needs to really be
Huh?
tweaked. That really needs to be tweaked, and that was in the resiliency plan also. That was in the workshop
So
that
number
we
9
had.
should go away?
No, it should stay there.
So that should stay there for
should
that.
stay
This
there.
building and the high school, because they have the gen sets.
Okay.
Any building has the
Should we,
gen set.
should we add the word, emergency shelters? Just not to be confused with homeless shelters?
Sure.
Okay.
So now, do we have homeless shelters as well? I'm just trying to
No, I
keep,
don't
whether
think,
we.
I don't think we do
we
in
don't,
this
right?
town, but,
Not in this town, I don't
but
think.
if we had a homeless issue, that would be, we could make it part of the plan, but I'm not sure that
It's not
we
under, it's
have it
not
as an
under
issue.
resiliency.
Right,
It wouldn't be under resiliency.
Right.
No, no.
resiliency is like from flooding or this
Yeah.
or that, that's when you come up.
Okay, so page 37, developmental strategies. This section is mostly geared around the town center and what we did and how we go forward. Page 38 kind of defined it. Manipulated the second paragraph, and please check my work on, we have it, and now we want to go north to keep it going on the Silas Dean. That's what paragraph 2 is all about. And then the
young
description.
woman- I'm sorry, the young woman that was here, she mentioned having a town center type thing on the west end of town.
Yeah.
And do we address that in any way, in a general way? I
Well,
mean,
this town center is a zoning thing.
Right,
So our town center zone is here. We have to
Right.
establish a zone somewhere else, and that would have to be
Establish a floating
that would
zone?
have to be somewhere in here.
What I
for
think
goal.
what she was mentioning is Town Center West. That's the way, that's the development was called.
That was the
Towns-
name, yeah.
That was the name, but the intent was to have a small walkable area, and then, you know, things happened in the developer.
It never got built, it was disappointing. Very
Yeah.
disappointing.
Well,
But
it's still,
I
in the-
think
it's still in the
she-
process.
Yeah.
She was worried about like the look of it, you know, like the
Yeah.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
Because it's not very pleasing to look at all that wasteland kind of.
Yeah.
In the back.
But it's all private property, so.
Correct.
Well, can you have more than one town center in a zone? I mean, are we talking
Well,
about
we're not-
village?
Yeah, no, we're not.
Are we
calling
talking
it-
about villages versus town centers? I mean, there's village districts. This went back to our conversation last time. Yeah, there's, outside the town zone, there's also opportunities for villages.
so we can have, I'm just thinking out loud, we can have multiple town center
Yeah, it's
zones,
just one.
because the town center zone has its own application process and the whole thing, right? So it's by separate, so if somebody comes under, you know,
Yeah,
the whole application was different.
Usually the town center zones are put in place because you're trying to increase the flexibility of the zoning commission to allow variations on a theme that would not otherwise have been allowed. And that's for areas that are already developed with historic buildings or.
You can't really have two centers.
Well, I don't think
There's
she-
one
Yeah,
center.
I'm thinking, to call it a center might.
No, I know that. She's
To
right.
call
She-
to
the
try to do
concept
that
of
Route
it.
3 as a center might be.
Yeah, in one of our plans of development in the past, they had the node concept, where they had the town center area as one node. They had the corner, believe it or not, of New Britain Avenue and Cromwell Avenue, that area as another node, like going up towards the fire department, Old Maid Village, that whole area is another node. And then they had one down by
Yeah.
Cold Spring, so.
But I think there might be an opportunity to do a layover zone along Route 3, and then we'll just have to figure out what to call it.
I mean, I think that the issue, I mean, not the issue, like at Ames, what we had was there was huge property sitting there, right? So it was, just
Right,
by
right for
virtue of that, we had this town center which provided us very specific guidance, for
Well,
reviewing applications.
What, Planometrics guided us through that.
Yeah.
He said the way to make this thing work is to establish this town
Right.
center so you can get what you want on that
Right.
property,
Rather
rather than a
than-
Home
yes,
Depot.
yes.
I mean, no offense to Home Depot,
Right,
but you don't,
right.
we don't wanna,
Yep.
yeah. So establish the zone and you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna answer the question, specifically here, but, I think it should be a goal to establish something like a town center on the west end of town, because the west end of town is, it's so traditional subdivisions and then strip development, and they're really, folks that live in that area don't have the advantage of what we have on the east side of town.
But why can't they just come to the east side of town?
So I think the issue is the mass of land available, right?
Yeah.
So what you have is, you don't have 10, 15, 20 acres available that you can create something that we created at Ames, right? They're all small pockets. So I think
Yeah.
we can have, as Kim is saying, we can have a node where you are trying to develop like,
Where's the lot? I
you know,
live in the west.
Well, I think a lot of, like the survey, a lot of the comments about, we asked specific questions about Cromwell Avenue.
I grew up on
And
these.
a lot of the responses were, we want wider sidewalks, we want walkability on both sides, we want a safe connection. The whole West Street Cromwell Avenue intersection was brought up about, that's not a walkable area, people don't feel safe there, but we want to walk from here across that intersection, so they, out on the west side of town, these people, I believe, live there, are looking for similar to what we have on side of
so
sea.
maybe we can make more walkable, more something.
Yeah,
That's
and they
later.
want
No, but I'm
facade
saying in general,
upgrades,
like,
they
if you want to address.
which makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
somehow-
thinking in the future, you don't know if a certain already developed area might want to be redeveloped.
Which is what happens, that's,
Yeah,
What happens?
and, for example, the corner of Cold Spring Road and Cromwell Avenue. You've got the Ace Hardware there, or whatever. I'm like, if that ever became, if the owner wanted to redo that, I don't know if that's big enough, but, that would be an opportunity to put something in that could draw people to it, and, walking, biking, et cetera. So,
But we also have to remember that if we put these zones in, it could also discourage development.
We can
Because of the
have,
criteria that they have to,
right.
we set the criteria because that's
Right.
what we wanted. But if we move it to another part of town, we may hurt ourselves.
Well, that's why if you create a floating zone.
we can have floating zone where
Then-
you just
Then a developer
identify.
can say, okay, this is really what I want, it fits within the town center.
So action areas, like
Well-
action
Yeah.
parts of town.
well, I think that would be like investigate, as one of the
Or
action
study.
items.
Right, that's
And
kind of
then-
where we are
then-
now.
So when we get to action steps
Yeah.
and everything, we'll write something up. Okay, that's you.
So we can study, do
Let
something.
me know how to write it. at the end
Okay,
there.
all right.
So page 39,
Put me to
everybody liked these, so we kept
Yeah,
them.
these are good.
Page 40, that's the same, it was kept because we all liked it. Page 41, really no change, it's still talking about the town center and why a town center is a town center and that type of thing. I do encourage everybody to read it to make sure it still applies, but I went through it. Page 42, did a little changing in this section here, trying to make it still go to the north on the South Dean. Also changed the pictures, kind of freshened them with some pictures of actually Rocky Hill rather than pictures that were not Rocky Hill. Looked at the Silas Dean in front of Kelson Row, looked at the Silas Dean where we want to go, past where the town center ends on the Silas Dean to the north. This is the zone where we're looking to go north. The town center ends like where Chuck's is
Yeah.
in that area. So I picked a point just at that point and said, okay, let's look north, Glastonbury Avenue, and then the Congregational Church and down, what is this, it's Old Main Street. That's kind of the theme about those pictures. Page 43 is public or private. It's kind of just basically straightforward. I changed some of the older pictures there to more of the design studies for Silas Dean and how they want to create a more walkable thing.
I like how you got the connection, like, well, and it may be a driving connection, it may be a walkable connection, but I like the idea of a walkable connection from Silas Dean to the, like, the town hall
It
campus
was like
with,
a DOT thing, so
yeah,
I
with
pulled it in.
public
Figured it'd be
space.
nice.
Yep.
We all liked 44, except I don't know if the pictures still apply, but I don't know how to change those pictures without changing number 44. So we like that. Number
Are we
40,
still talking about the roundabout?
we want a roundabout. I don't know.
You want one?
The
I'm just saying.
roundabout, this is at,
This
they
is the corridor
wanted,
study. Well, this is the corridor study.
Yeah,
The
this
corridor
is-
study said roundabout.
they were talking about a roundabout at the intersection of Elm and Old Main Street, Glastonbury Avenue, that whole bit.
So do you want
That
to
study.
not put this in?
Or work with 2 lanes of traffic and I mean, it's usually roundabouts are 1 lane of traffic in each direction.
There is a study going on.
Go down to
Yeah,
one
I mean,
lane.
there is a study going on with the town of Weathersfield. And now, granted, it's taking it Parsonage Street north to the Hartford line, but they're looking at, 1 lane each direction with a dual turn lane in the middle. That's being considered.
Yeah.
And then realignment of I-20, interchange 24 for
And it's up to
sidewalk.
us to take it
Yeah.
from Parsonage south.
I mean, we
So-
can keep this as an idea.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
that's
doesn't
all it
hurt.
is.
It's just
It's
an idea,
conceptual.
so we can use this for somewhere else if you want to use whatever.
Put a roundabout at West Street.
Yeah,
That would be
well,
interesting.
This
that might,
picture, maybe if we get something
Lane?
nice
yeah, but a little hard for the gasoline tankers to get through.
construction.
Well, there was one in front of me on the way over.
And they say that they make them flat just for that,
Okay.
and go off the curb.
Page 46 is where Commissioner Lecco is going to give me what he wants in there for a floating zone.
Okay, I got homework.
If
Oh,
you
okay.
see any typos in here, otherwise it was kind of like foreshadowing, like going forward.
Oh, I think,
I kind of left Village District in the side thing, because we talked about it before and how, I mean, I think the next step in the town center is Village District, because I don't think we have one there, but we need to establish it. We talk about it, number 6. I left it in the margin. I don't know if we want to make it part of a body or just leave it in the margin.
that
It's
looks
fine
fine.
there, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that looks good.
So,
I think number 10, we should put town and staff.
okay,
That was blank for last 10 years.
yeah. Okay, I don't have, now page 47 need a map on where,
Because we have an area, we met with the executive director of the newly created Municipal Redevelopment Authority for state, and we actually had to come up with something that we were looking at, so we have this.
yeah, so if you can get that, that'll be in there.
Maybe Curtis,
No changes in 48. We talked about this, there's really no changes here. No changes in 49, about how to buffer.
so I think.
We made some changes on 50.
I think here, where is that? Here. Oh, so you took out stuff.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we had anything latest, we were talking about various housing type, like,
A lot of the
Oh,
surveys
pretty
talked
good.
not only about,
yeah, we took out all the stuff that
Okay.
didn't apply
Okay.
because it was older.
yeah, a lot of the surveys talked about not only affordable senior housing options, not the, single-family detached $650,000 units, but affordable units for seniors, but they also talked about affordable units for young folks that want.
Tiny houses?
Whether they be tiny houses, whether they be single-family homes, starter-type homes where people are just,
So page 50, that's where the tiny homes come in. Added the expansion of 80%, 60%, and 40% median housing. Affordable housing to moderate income persons and households. Aging population stayed. The heading provide for housing options, we worked in
yes.
multifamily in there.
we want to get younger folks in
Oh, I
there
think
too.
we have to get rid of elderly, right? We just said housing options. So it doesn't
Well-
say elderly.
But this is all about elderly housing and where they're gonna,
Because,
then all that has to change.
Do we have specifics on tiny houses, tiny homes?
Actually, the tiny homes are, they have, and I think I had given it to you at one point.
Yeah, there was
there's-
something, yeah.
There's it's actually building codes, there's building codes about that.
I've seen them built
Not-
on trailers, and then I've seen them,
Yeah, they cannot exceed 400 square feet, believe it or not.
but is one on wheels considered
see, this could
acceptable?
be
No,
Okay,
number 6.
Okay.
I've seen them
Yeah, no, I know
built,
too.
people have built them on trailers.
But if they're on
Because then you
wheels and
can
then you
because then
drop
you
it
can,
onto
you can move it around.
concrete blocks, does that count?
Well,
It ends up
well,
being a mobile home.
how they.
It becomes a
how-
mobile home.
Yes, how they
requirements.
are secured to the ground, that's a building code issue. But if they're on wheels, technically, then
Yeah.
something else, yeah,
That's
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's different.
Well, like a mobile home park,
Yeah, that's different,
it's basically the same concept.
yeah. It's just not as attractive as a tiny house.
It's not as effective.
Attractive.
Oh, attractive. Well, yeah.
Subjective.
So that was page 50. Page 51, no change. We all liked what that looked like. Page 52 was kind of weeded down. I'm going to add some pictures here, I just didn't do it yet. Diverse housing portfolio, encourage affordable housing for all. We talked about that last time. Continue to encourage conservation designs. Senior housing, affordable housing by the regulations.
What about middle housing,
Say again?
middle housing?
You want number 6 to be middle housing? What do you want to do that? Create, maintain? What's your thought, Kim?
Actually creating regulations for middle housing opportunities in both commercial and residential, so.
Okay, regulations for middle housing in residential and commercial areas?
Correct.
Okay. Page 53, again, I need staff, we need staff to guide us there, make sure that map is okay. Um, 54, kind of really no change there, except for, we talked about truck parking, yeah, we talked about all that. We have BP1, we have BP2, we have Office Park. Do we need to change anything there? Do we need to add anything there?
Did we change anything? Or we still have 3, but we
We
just
do, we
change
just move them
within?
around town,
Okay,
yeah.
we just change around. Or pre-designated or something.
Yeah. Do we want, number one is reconfigure
Well,
zones.
if you say reconfigure, if you put these in, maybe you don't want to put names in there, because you're saying reconfigure zones. When we update the regs, we may look at things
Rename them?
differently. We may rename them. We
Okay.
may consider something else.
Yep, okay. So then we
I
take,
I deleted a whole bunch of stuff here because they were all basically established these zones. We did these zones after the last POCD.
right.
We
Yeah.
changed these zones at the last POCD, so.
So I think what Kim is saying is get rid of this,
So just.
get rid of this so that
And
Generalize.
maybe,
it's.
maybe when
it's-
we reassess, it may change.
These 3 names could be totally different.
It may change.
We could sell naming rights.
But then how would we, I mean,
Pardon?
once we get rid of those 3 names, what does these 3 pictures mean? Right?
They mean nothing other than
Other than they're just there.
decoration, yeah.
Or get rid of
So-
the pictures and just leave the names.
Yeah, the pictures kind of fill the white voids.
Right.
Well, do we have all the business zones covered too? I mean, businesses are in the commercial zone too. Should we have commercial in here?
I think,
Or just photographs of
The different
the
zones.
different areas, without necessarily identifying what zone it is per se.
just sample of different
Different, yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
You put that in.
Kind of like,
Yeah.
here's a
Here's an
dense-
office park,
here's an office park
here's a
look.
more manufacturing
Yeah,
type.
manufacturing area, here's like the.
So we can have one industrial,
Yeah.
from industrial area and
yeah,
one,
Here's the old forge area of town, like
yep.
Bellamose
Yeah.
and Laurel
okay.
and, yeah.
so specific.
Page 55, kind of need staff recommendations on this, to double check all this work and what needs to be eliminated. 'Cause we did change the parking regulations since this. I kind of need some guidance, I needed some guidance here, that's why I highlighted in yellow. Some of it applies, but just the details and the math and stuff. Page 56. Straightforward.
Yeah, there was nothing
Yeah.
there, yep.
Um, 57 just needs to be checked. All that has changed since the last one. So that just needs to be, that's staff also.
This is interesting, because it has our zones on it, but it says business development. So,
So just say business, I guess.
It says Business Park 2 proposal?
Yes, because we didn't have a BP2
yeah,
before the POCD.
Yeah, so I think it did focus more on business
Yeah.
because it was all open.
It was actually focused
Right.
on creating the BP2 zone.
Right.
Something different than the BP1 zone.
Yep. So even though it looks like zoning, I think more focus was on.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's
going fo-
changed.
But going forward,
changed.
town center zone proposed, we'll have the new zone
That-
drawn on
and
the
that
map
goes-
here, and then we
yeah.
have the town center zone, then we have the town center zone proposed. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so we'll have some changes to this map
Yep.
here. 58. This goes back, this is part of the same thing, parking, so we just need staff to make sure we're okay here. Some of it applies, I see sections, so we'll get rid of sections in here. Seems straightforward, page 58. but just need staff to make sure that we're okay with it.
So I think this business development map breaks up these two. So is that, do you want to keep it that way, or?
I just went by the way it was.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with not doing it and keeping them together. You want to put,
Okay, so maybe-
how about we put page 57 before page 55? And after guide and manage business development, we put the map. And then we talk about parking, and then we have the two policies and together. We have it all together. So we move this.
Okay.
Move to page 55.
Yep, so then it
Yep.
just flows.
That way it flows better, yeah. For some reason, it didn't print, but page 59 is about infrastructure. There are labels here, but apparently they didn't print. And 60 didn't print either. I don't know why it didn't print, but anyway, this is infrastructure. We talked about community facilities, we talked about, I can't remember all the headings without. They just didn't print,
Town hall, education, library,
yeah.
community facility, transportation, utilities.
Roadways, sidewalks.
Yeah, yeah, sidewalks, everything that's, you'll see it in the document here. Facility needs, the pictures came out, but I don't know why it didn't print, I see dots, but, I needed some guidance on education. The facility one is the one of the, company of the fire station. To the right of that, it should talk about, facilities in town. To the left of Mosier School, talks about education, and need the BOE or someone from staff to write that part for us. If it printed right, you would see yellow there, it said needs help from staff.
But it's in the email.
It's in the actual electronic version of this. Page 61, kind of straightforward here.
So I think recreational facilities, we did have, we have a community center, right? So, based on the public comment, we can say, encouraging the use of community center, hall, or something.
Number 6, determine possible future use of the community center, senior center,
Okay.
senior housing.
Yeah, it's covered.
We also had
Should we just say determine and encourage?
Yeah, encourage,
Encourage the future use,
yeah.
encourage? And not determine?
the surveys were talking about more outdoor opportunities for family gatherings, that type of thing. Ferry Park is underutilized, wants to expand. Riverfront, as far as community facilities or some facilities for the community down by the
There's,
river.
Community
Community
farming.
center,
Can we get rid
because
of it?
the other two are
Yeah,
not.
are part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about number 7 and, I mean, technically, we could say that about every park in town, that we want them to grow.
I mean, I think if you look at it, right,
How do we
The
talk about,
park-
how do we talk about the Foundry without,
I mean, that could be a focus
It should be
point.
in the POCD, the Foundry has to be in the POCD.
There's a lot of comments on that.
I mean,
A lot of comments about
I'm going through this
needing,
document, and I'm
needing
like.
public access through that
Going through this
property.
document, I'm like, okay, we set a goal for Ames last time, should we set a goal for the Foundry this time? It sounds ridiculous, but do we? I mean, I throw it out to the commission.
And I think the difference there, like for Ames, we didn't have anything specific,
Yeah.
right? It was just sitting there and 1,000 different plans, right? Nothing, here we have something, but it just stuck there in that same plan. Nothing is happening.
Yeah, so,
Right,
so what do we do?
Well, we can say that about a half a dozen properties.
Yeah, but this-
But I think what we are
This-
saying is,
this
this
is
is
a
the main
town.
goal, this
Yeah.
is the main attraction, right? Main property, just like Ames.
If we talk about the
This
river,
is
we have to
big.
talk about the
It's the
town.
next one in line.
It's the next one in line where,
Yeah,
because if you were talking about creating something on West End, I don't see that kind of volume of land available there. This is the next one.
yeah.
So, so how do we,
What's the deal with the silos?
But, I mean, it's,
part
that,
of
all that is
development.
part of
That
the
was part of
development.
that,
Is that?
that
is
was part of that,
No,
appro- no,
that's the
that's,
developer.
So we have an approved development plan,
yep,
and they came back from some minor mods or major mods.
yep. So that's all done,
So that's all done, but those permits will expire
In 20 years?
20 years.
20
I
years?
think it was a 19-year,
So the state,
yeah.
state extended, that's the thing.
So, instead of getting into the weeds on the application and what's going on, instead of getting into the weeds, should we talk about number 7? We talk about encourage the use of the community center. We talk about undertake a comprehensive evaluation of existing, should we talk about, what do we say about encourage the what of the riverfront? Encourage the
Well,
development.
this is,
encourage the
because you're
use,
saying
encourage
this,
the-
this is under the heading community facility needs. That's what this is.
Don't forget, as part of the end of Glastonbury Avenue was Tolasana Park. So,
Park and a public boardwalk.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I
right.
think-
That was part of it.
But I think this is,
That can go back to access to the river in general.
yeah, because this is
which-
public facility, so.
This is
you
infrastructure.
want to say encourage,
No, so I think
Maybe it doesn't go here.
it doesn't
I
go
don't think
here
it goes
because
But it
it's
should
a,
go, under development or,
because what you're talking about is.
Conservation, because we want to,
Infrastructure.
like,
And
So-
and it's,
to
so
do with
is
the
it
river
under
as far as
planning strategy?
access.
town facilities, yeah. That's,
So should it go in the area where we talked about town center, this last section?
is that under the development, chapter?
probably in that
Development strategies,
development strategy, yes. It should go in,
yeah.
where is development?
Page,
It's the one we were just in.
yeah, page,
46?
So we need to,
6,
page 46 is where we need to add.
yeah.
We talk about it at number 6, the Glastonbury Avenue Village Overlay District. But do we specifically talk about
Or are you
riverfront?
trying to tie
The waterfront.
Tie the river to the town center?
Can we say support
We
expansion
do
of
that,
a,
we do that in infrastructure when it comes to sidewalks, but yes.
can we say of a town center and riverfront?
Number 1?
No, and like support expansion of a town center and riverfront. On the heading.
Support expansion of a town center and,
And something
Then everything
for,
else doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't.
riverfront.
do we relabel that and just say developmental strategies? Support responsible development? And then we can go down?
yeah, and then we can just add that specific.
So instead of support expansion of a town center, we write support responsible development? We support,
Just development.
I mean,
Growth and development.
strategical development?
whatever we say, I mean, what do we think we could actually do in regards to that property?
I think it's,
It's not, I don't think it's about the property.
Yeah.
I think it's about the whole thing in general. You know, later in the document, we talk about sidewalks down Glastonbury Avenue. So now we're creating walkability from town center to a point. And then we gotta get past that point to get to Ferry Park, Cirillo Park, Corey Park, all the different bulkily
Well,
park.
that creation of an open space system, you want to have that, the Foundry property certainly had some open space. Granted, it was a park and it was a developed park, but it still is open space.
I think if we
And the
want it in
boardwalk is open
development
space.
where, and to your point, what can happen is, we can go to council and say it's part of POCD, right? We want, because council can take some sort of action. Or or maybe like, meet with them, see what it is, hey, can you move it, whatever that might be, right?
Yeah.
So it's like an action step, right?
But I mean, but as far as what we can do, we're talking promote and encourage, right?
That's literally what it is. I mean, that's what we do at the town center, promote and encourage.
Right.
And then from there, we create a regulation, and from there, we did
Then
this.
we push a
And
little
then-
bit,
And then the town basically started soliciting people.
Yeah.
So,
Encourage the implementation
'Cause
of
we
the
have the one-
waterfront, of approved waterfront development, or of riverfront development. Encourage the
but
implementation
why,
of it.
but
And that
I
just
do agree,
means,
but
you know,
we also have to consider that there's more than just the Foundry property. You can just
So I
keep
thi-
on
I
going
think-
down.
I think you should just call it,
just waterfront property.
Waterfront property.
Waterfront development.
The waterfront.
Yeah.
because there's so many,
But do you want to
Development,
just
but
encourage
then that-
development? Do you want to encourage preservation also?
because that, you know,
And so
is all
it's,
the
it's
farms and
it's
everything.
kind of a,
So then, going backwards, when we talk about conservation, we have to write preservation then, to your point.
well, it's kind of
Why-
both,
why are
because you want,
we afraid to call out the foundry? I mean, we shouldn't.
I'm
be-
not.
Yeah, we shouldn't be afraid to call out the foundry. I
But
mean, it should
when we
be.
did this last time, we never called out the Ames property. We called it the
I
town
think
center.
what we are doing is because if we start focusing on each parcel, now then it becomes
That
problematic.
property could be sold and be redeveloped.
True.
So,
So I think,
and then the regs are, then this is bad. So if we create whatever around it, like we did for the Ames property, basically build it and they will come. And
Encourage compatible uses in the river, in the ferry park, adjacent to ferry park or something.
how about like just encourage development of
Waterfront.
waterfront? I mean, just in
and then-
general.
And then encourage development of waterfront, and then back in conservancy,
but we also need to,
preserve.
preserve
So if we go back.
public access to
So if we
waterfront.
go back here, is that in sustainability and resiliency? Where is that when we talk about preservation? Because I do agree that we need to. Conservation and preserve it. So is that in natural resources? So is that in?
or the open space, I mean,
Is that on page 25? When we talk about creating an open space system?
Create an open space system.
Or do we specifically have something for the waterfront?
reestablish a connection between the community and the Connecticut River by preserving public access along and near the riverfront.
So number 5.
And number 6 also says establish a riverway trail along Connecticut River in Rocky Hill through whatever means are available.
So-
So I think it is there.
So we have it,
Right.
we have something
That-
there.
Yeah, we just have a vacant brownfield in the way.
We're linking open space. Okay,
Encourage brownfield redevelopment.
so do we want something in infrastructure? Last time we did this, so I'm back to page 46. Do we want anything there about the river, waterfront?
Yeah, so we can,
Encourage waterfront development.
Well,
this is town center.
But this
be
says
careful about development. 'cause we
support
wanna-
expansion of a town center. That's the
That's what I mean.
the
We changed that
headline,
now.
so we
Okay.
need to,
we are saying encourage development of waterfront.
Well, no, the heading, I mean, we don't even have to put a heading here, but the heading was because we tried to create the town center. And now,
I mean, we still need to do that, and
Yeah.
that's,
Now, do we have for others?
Well, no,
we
getting
don't, right?
continuity between town center and.
No, we have, see, we always have heading.
yeah,
What are we trying to
town
do?
center
Yeah.
map.
because, yeah, because we are also looking at expansion of town center.
Well, the riverfront is more than just the Foundry. The riverfront's
Right.
more than Ferry Park. It goes
it goes
down
all
and
the way to Cromwell.
towards the industrial park, and there's additional property down there.
That's what I was saying, and,
So, maybe even if separate thing, a separate heading about, support responsible development along the riverfront.
And
So
preservation.
you want to create another thing like page 46 and
No.
come up with some policies and action steps for the river, the waterfront?
Specifically, maybe. That might be
Is that in infrastructure? Is that here or is that in development?
yeah, I mean,
Because
that's in
it's-
development.
That's in development.
I would think that's in development.
Wouldn't it just be support expansion of the waterfront? It'd be just like you said, another page.
Well, that's infrastructure,
Because we're talking about more public access.
infrastructure.
We're talking about,
Just add it there.
Yeah. I mean, we developed the waterfront district, we developed the connecting village district along Glastonbury Avenue to the town center. The hard part, so it's there,
The
it's
open
just, but the
space,
hard part
yeah,
is the
concept.
implementation, which gets to, what do we do with those properties that aren't being developed? We can't make, if something doesn't
Right,
get
we can't
developed, we
force, yeah, but,
But the vision and the design is there, even in the planning and zoning regs.
So we're covered and we're good. You think we're covered and we're good?
Yeah, at this point, it's the question of implementation and our ability to do anything about it.
Well, I mean, isn't that a state?
well, I was thinking riverfront, not as far as zoning, but the physical river itself, not a zoning
So
designation.
we created the waterfront zone, we
Yeah.
created the Glastonbury overlay zone.
Well, I'm
last time.
going beyond that. I'm even taking it down towards Buckley Park,
Yeah.
down towards
Yeah.
the end of Evans
Keep on
and
going.
Laurel, yeah,
So
all the way
Oh,
down.
is it technically
Create
promote the
more
expansion of a
connectivity,
waterfront district?
just connect,
You know,
instead
to
of
have
having
it,
two waterfront districts, just have,
not
You wanna-
necessarily from a zoning end of things, but any
Promote the-
development
promote
along the,
Interconnection and expansion of the waterfront district?
possibly.
Is that what we want to do? I know there's some parcels there that can't, that stop it,
That's correct.
It may not connect, but
yeah.
But the support would be, so say a parcel was up for sale, the town would look to buy it, right? To combine it and develop the riverfront. So I think if we just add another page and say support the expansion of the riverfront.
maybe we just do, yeah, I mean,
Another one
under
of
here,
these,
like
And then
40,
it's, support,
Kinda
like
covers
page
46.
46?
Yeah,
And it covers the whole river.
like
So
47,
support,
development of,
Expansion
expansion,
or expansion.
of the riverfront. Or what's the,
Waterfront
what's that?
district.
Waterfront.
the
What's the zoning there?
waterfront,
Waterfront
waterfront.
Waterfront district.
I mean, when we say expansion, I mean, it's just, I mean, you're looking at development, right? It's not just,
Well, I mean, the reason I'm
Support
saying
the
that
use
is,
of the waterfront district,
when those-
support the, well, no, we want it,
when
we
those
want it, we want it
houses-
larger. We want to keep on going on the river. We want to keep on going.
when those
But
houses
We
are
don't
sold,
necessarily want it to all be developed.
Yeah,
We want to
We would like
encourage,
it-
we want to encourage, we want to encourage public access, we want to encourage, responsible development, environmentally friendly development, so there's,
encourage public access. What were you saying? What'd you say? Encourage public access, encourage what?
environmentally, friendly, I guess, right?
I think,
Environmentally sound,
maybe connectivity, encourage connectivity.
Encourage, connecting
continuity.
the waterfront, the two waterfront zones, or would you say connecting the zones? Would you say, what would you say there? Like connect the two,
I think we,
Yeah.
can we say like, encourage connectivity to the zones? It could be any way you connect,
or connecting
waterfront zone.
properties
waterfront
along,
zone.
connecting properties along the waterfront, yeah.
so you can connect any way you want. I mean, like, either direct road or among,
That could be an action, right? That's the action step,
these are the
That'd be
policies.
policies.
or policies.
Yeah, so that would be policy,
Yeah,
um, I mean, we can even use some of this, like, require mixed use,
Yeah,
things like that,
yep.
because.
It's
we're
technically
talking
the same
about-
thing, we're just,
Yeah.
we're doing
We are
waterfront,
just-
not town
We are
center.
waterfront, yeah.
All right, I'll come up with
You
something
come
there.
up, yep. Nice.
Yeah, nice. This is the VOCD. All right, so we're on page 62. Staff has to get us that update on community facilities.
Yeah, now we got a little bigger.
Yeah. Page 63, we talked about road work. We talked about eliminating all the things that we did out of the last P O C D and keeping some of the stuff that we didn't do. West Street and Forest Street and Main Street, Brook Street at Henkel Way. And I threw in the alignment of 91 at exit 24, because right now it's still a dream. So why not throw it in?
So did you take out,
I took out,
Cromwell?
yeah, all that stuff's been done.
Okay.
If you find one that's not been done, they've all been
Okay.
done.
Because I think what, let's see, we were trying to see if anything can be done on that Route 3 side, right? But I don't think we have anything there.
Not on the roadway side, on the walkability side, yes.
Okay,
But on the roadway side, these were kind of our hot
Yep.
spots the last time we talked. Unless you guys can think of some more hot spots. Those are those three.
yep,
West and Cromwell, that intersection did come up a number of times in
West and-
in the surveys.
West and Cromwell. Oh,
As far as walkability and accident locations. That
I
came up
think
a
that's,
lot.
we have that later under sidewalks.
Okay.
Page 65, I kind of kept those interconnections that we had. In listening to town engineering at PIC meetings, they have plans that possibly can do this stuff. It's just a matter of a couple of dominoes falling, so I kept them in, just because
Okay.
we talked about them in the PIC meeting. Page 66, roadway maintenance. I think if I can get that, I know that they do a grant and they do their thing, but I'm not sure if staff or town engineering can help us with that roadway maintenance part.
yeah, because the,
We got the grant, they've done this stuff, and now it's just a matter of updating that section to what their goal is.
because they do get grant, right, for like, from the TAR grant or LoSiP grant or something, they
Lots
use.
and all those, yes.
Right. So maybe we can talk about that,
Yeah.
so. Downstairs, yeah.
66 kind of stayed the same because we talk about capacity and encouraging and I already see an error there, so we'll get rid of that. Number 3.
What about, what about number 9?
Number 9, to take out, you could say modify the subdivision regulations to refer to road classification plan, POC.
Yep. Yep.
I think we had a couple of these pictures in there, right? These guys.
Yeah,
That's,
that's a bunch of, yeah. I just didn't put them in yet.
Oh, okay.
Because, I didn't put them in because
Yep,
on page 67, we need the new vehicle transportation map from
Okay.
from the staff.
okay.
Page 68 was my attempt to put our complete streets in this infrastructure, knowing that it is a goal of ours. We can put it in the back.
I mean, I think it'd be to complete, the task should be creation of a complete streets plan.
So,
This is like this is a policy, but to actually do a plan where we,
So, I mean, should this, I think this should go as a separate, as an appendix, right? And we can
Yeah,
just have a
with the- yeah.
small task, like the table, policies and action.
yep.
took me hours to format this thing.
I know, yeah, you took it from like,
Appendix,
So we talked about complete streets earlier. Where did it go?
so I will make complete streets Appendix D.
and then you can take just some of the language and then have,
Well, it's a whole policy that went before town council. So I just
no, like here.
put it all
like,
back there.
So what do we want
So
to,
we'll just do this
little bit,
and
and
get rid
then
of all
come up,
this.
come up with this, something like that? Because if we are going to tell, right, like Kim says, create complete street plan,
Sidewalks didn't print.
Oh, the plan, yeah.
Look on that.
It's okay.
Pull it up on the,
I'll do it on my phone.
I got a laptop,
Got a laptop here,
so he's got his up,
if you wanna look at it.
he's on page 69, 70. Got it right here.
Do you have the PDF?
Yeah. Oh, page 69.
Right, page 69,
No,
70.
it's right after complete streets, it's sidewalks.
So that's 68.
So we'll do something with complete streets.
Yep.
And unfortunately sidewalks didn't print,
Because we have,
but I see this, I know why it didn't print.
What is that after?
Now
What-
I see the
Yep.
dots, why it didn't print.
white was a, white,
It's,
yellow one.
no, it's,
What page, what is
I have the sidewalks right here. Is that,
he's
Because-
bringing it up on this thing, I have it on my phone.
yeah, I do too.
Oh, no, here it is.
Page 74,
74, yeah.
yeah.
The surveys, I mean, the survey says, they were looking for making sure all the gaps on Route 3
So
were taken care of, Silas Dean.
here's what I actually
Yeah,
wrote, so
I
I'll just
see.
read it. So this should say, since the inception of the Plan Implementation Committee has been a priority to chart and expand the use of sidewalks in the town. Through several PIC meetings, many areas of town have been identified as hot zones to install sidewalks. The goal was to infill areas in town as well as to create walkable loops in town. Such areas discussed are, and then we're gonna attach the sidewalk plan. Extend sidewalks from Town Center down Glastonbury Avenue to Ferry Park. Complete a 1,500-foot gap on Elm Street to allow walkability from Town Center to Route 3 and beyond. Adding sidewalks to Washington Street to create a walkable loop in the Town Center and Glastonbury Avenue overlay district as a potential village district. Adding sidewalks to Hayes Road to fill the gap to create a walkable loop. Adding sidewalks to New Road and extend across New Britain Avenue to Trinity Ridge to create a connection to the Straska Farm. Adding sidewalks to infill gaps on France Street. Adding sidewalks on Gilbert Avenue to connect Elm Street and Route 3 from north to south. Adding sidewalks on Route 3 between Sandy Drive and Gilbert Avenue to create a walkable loop. To build out the Century Hills Drive sidewalk loop proposed after receiving a Phase 1 grant. This plan to infill and add sidewalks in the town would promote walkability. As commercial developers come to town, it shall be the plight of the Planning and Zoning Commission to get more infill sidewalks. In lieu of sidewalks to nowhere, the Planning and Zoning Commission needs to have the ability to enforce a sidewalk-related ordinance in which a contractor can contribute to a sidewalk-only fund in lieu of installing sidewalks if they are not feasible. This ordinance is similar to what the town already has in the subdivision requirements.
I would try to get away from Straska Farm and call it Rocky Hill Community Farm.
Is that what?
Because
okay.
that's,
Was that the name that was adopted?
that's going to be the,
That's gonna be
name of
it? Okay. So anywhere I put the Straska Farm, I'll put Rocky Hill Community Farm?
yeah.
Okay.
Well written.
Everything that I read
it's gonna
came
be on
out
a
of the
map.
PIC meeting, and
Yeah,
it
it's
came
a
out of,
PIC
It's gonna be on the map.
and it came.
And we have a
Well,
map.
that's on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does, because engineering, we talked about it, engineering made the
Okay.
map for those connections.
Yeah.
So is there grant money awarded for any of this?
The Century Hills.
Century Hills, Glastonbury's been submitted, Washington, I believe, is ready to be submitted, so there's a lot of things in the works right now. The surveys did talk about Main Street and Old Main Street. They also mentioned Dividend. Dividend's really tough because of the grading. There'd be retaining walls and possibly some grading rights, so that would be a tough area, but there were a lot of people that mentioned those
So I
areas
think-
as well.
Maybe engineering can look at these and say, are these like feasible right now? Or
Yeah.
did we put something in?
Well, they already
that's-
have plans for some of those
So
already.
then we can use
the
those
works, yeah.
again and put them in.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I think dividend would be better if we could widen the road, you know?
Well, there's a plan in there to close it at the top,
At the
so.
top, yeah. And bring everybody
I mean,
down
the-
Fourth Street and over,
yeah, the,
Yeah, that's part of the plan.
yeah,
So you're gonna push the traffic onto Forest Street
and Old Forge.
if they close the top?
I don't know, I don't even know the survey, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, that's just the
Yeah,
plan.
that's-
We can,
All right.
So that was sidewalks, unfortunately, it didn't print, sorry. 75, that's the current sidewalk plan from the town. I gotta see what happened, why the colors, the roads and stuff are not coming out on this, so we have to change something on that. 76 did not print, but it's talking about the greenways.
Okay, we have to get that map.
Greenway means a quarter of open space, did a little, and because we have a greenway in town, so, and it's referenced in Appendix C. You can see page 76, is there anything that's missing in this beside pictures?
So that, but it's not that, we're under transportation modes here, right? Support other.
We're on page 76.
Oh, all right. 76.
Yeah, we're on greenways now. And the approved, by town council approved plan is Appendix C.
But that's essentially this,
It's the middle picture.
yeah.
I just represented the picture, but there's a whole write-up on it, and there's a whole dissertation about it.
Yeah.
I have it, we'll put it in the back. But this is, what did I miss here?
There's some bullet items on greenways
Do you want me to read it?
that are,
So missing from this are the bulleted items. The missing picture to the left is a picture of Quarry Park sign. The bullets that are missing are making Rocky Hill a better place to live by preserving and creating open spaces, encouraging physical fitness and healthy lifestyles, creating new opportunities for outdoor recreation and non-motorized transportation, strengthening Rocky Hill's economy, protecting the environment, and preserving culturally and historically valuable areas. Rocky Hill has established a greenway system as adopted by the town council, see appendix, whatever it is. As we go forward, we should expand on the greenway system. So,
yep.
It almost seems like we should have talked about greenways earlier too in the conservation section, because they go hand in hand.
only reason I put it in infrastructure, because it's already built, we're just
We're
establishing.
talking about,
yeah.
right, all the connections and all that, and,
These are just how it's connected.
Yeah, yeah. No, but just again, back to the comment I said before, is that if we expanded the greenways in town through the development of open space, trails, ecological diversity, areas to preserve the long streams and water bodies, it kind of lines up with the other thing I was talking about. So it's,
Is that
I don't know, maybe we could say it more than once. Maybe we-
where, So is that an open space? Where would that be? Where would we talk about that?
Back when we were talking about open space.
Conservation strategies?
Conservation and open space. Why don't I owe you a bullet point for an action item there?
Yeah.
So maybe I can just incorporate the word greenways.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is, in parentheses, I might put, for more information, refer to page 76 or something.
Or you can just refer to the appendix. Appendix C is the Greenway plan.
Oh, okay,
Just refer to the appendix.
all right.
And if you look at page 1, you'll see at the bottom, the contents. Down below, you'll see that all the appendices. Now Appendix D will be complete streets, but
77 is good.
77 is technically, it's
Same
good.
stuff,
Yeah. 78, I added, create walkable loops in town, to number 1. We talked about all the rest of the stuff here. Number 2 has been changed, maintain or expand funding for sidewalk expansion, including a sidewalk fund in lieu of sidewalks. We added that.
You have your complete streets plan right here on number 8.
Number 8, yeah. And then number 9, maintain and expand the Rocky Hill Greenway system.
So we say the exact same thing at 13. Do we need to say it twice?
No. Yeah, it should be a policy, not an action step. What's the action
And are we
step?
keeping policies? Because we had talked about it before.
We have to keep, it's part of the.
That's part of
It's
the
part of the
state name,
template? Oh,
statute, yeah.
oh,
It's part of
okay.
the statute. So, number 12 is good. Number 11 is good.
No, what about number
Create and maintain.
12? We talked about in an earlier meeting that rather than having niche committees, the concept of maybe just having a complete streets committee. So they can deal with everything all at once, bicycles, sidewalk, crosswalks, and roadway improvements, rather than just one niche.
So would you, so what, so,
So 12 would just be
Yes.
to establish a complete streets committee.
Now, didn't we also discuss that everything should just go through PIC? As part of, rather than creating multiple
Yeah.
committees and not having volunteers?
those committees should
You know,
report to PIC. The
Or they
committees, the committees report to PIC.
Or a subcommittee within the PIC.
But Kim, I thought you said there was
Yeah.
something that had to take place anyways with complete streets, so that,
Well, we need to do a complete streets plan. We need to do that.
But that can be done at PIC level where we invite.
but
So then we-
isn't
Because
they
it
get
would
to
be,
do that.
it would
that
be,
gonna put a lot on PIC? Because they got the whole rest of the plan to deal with.
But I mean, that's what they'll do, right? They'll pick and choose like 2 items and then work on it. And then,
I mean, there's a staff group that's working on complete streets. Anyways,
So
it's
instead of-
planning,
instead of
engineering,
13
highways, you
so
know.
we can just say staff, and
So
say
it's,
PIC
so
staff.
number 9 is the policy, and number 13, do we just say, create a complete streets plan?
Number 8 says that, create a complete streets plan for the town.
Oh, there it is, yep. So.
Well, that
what's the
should be an
step?
action item instead of
That's-
a policy.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be an
That
action
should
item.
be-
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
should be number 13.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't do that, do we still need to, don't we already, there was a bicycle committee, right?
I
There
don't
is.
think so.
No, we,
So do
It's-
we still want to establish?
We have individuals that have
Right,
taken
we've
upon
had-
themselves,
it's been
but
promoted,
no.
Yeah,
right,
we want all that,
participated in
and
PIC.
they go through PIC.
right.
Yeah.
So do we want to leave 12 in, or just, if we're not going to do it?
Yeah, I think that should be, because you don't want to,
How about encourage,
Bicycle enthusiasts.
encourage, how would you,
'Cause
would
we
you say
don't-
volunteer committees to, how would you distinguish between a committee and a non-committee.
Well, you could even say create a complete streets plans for the town, utilizing both town and
Volunteers.
Volunteers?
Volunteer groups.
Yeah,
So that's number 12. Get rid of establish a bike committee. And then just say create a complete streets plan.
yeah, because that does encompass all of that. It encompasses the sidewalks and
Create
roadways and
a-
Yeah, 'cause
bikes
it's
and
complete street.
trails
Complete.
and whatever.
street plan. Create a complete street plan,
For the town and.
Which kind of encompasses number 14 also.
Plan encouraging, community groups to participate, something, or from
Create-
participation
complete a
of.
complete street plan for the town. I don't know what to say.
Complete streets plan.
So number 10 goes away. Number 11 goes away. Well, I mean, no, 11 doesn't go away, because that's trails. 11 stays. 12 goes away, and that turns into complete streets. 13 is,
Create, so that's gone.
yeah.
Number
Yeah, because,
14 is.
because, yeah,
Complete
13,
street.
13 is gone, because it's up in number 9. Number 14 is complete streets.
Yep.
So I think we need something beefier than just say create a complete street plan.
Yeah.
Can we create a?
Well, you could maybe do bullets under that. You can do bullets under that. And talk about the other things, that way.
Okay, so
people won't think,
technically
we're getting
10
rid of bicycles. or we're
10,
getting rid of-
12, 13, and 14 will be bullets under a master,
Yeah.
create a complete street plan. Okay. Number 16,
We
Yeah,
did
we
that,
already
right?
have that.
We did that, so.
yep, so that's done, that's done.
Continue, I think, continue encouraging bicycle racks and other facilities as part of commercial development. Right.
Okay.
Can we put something in like, I didn't see anything about bike boxes. Can we explore bike boxes? Because that's the hot new thing that we're
So
seeing. Bike boxes.
So what do you do?
Bike boxes are at the front, at the stoplight or four-way intersection. It's the first 5 feet, it's all green. And it's for a bicycle to be able to
Oh,
pull up.
so you draw.
It's called
it's
a
a
bike
draw
box. And that's
okay.
pretty big thing that they're,
Was that part of complete streets?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it
but
is.
would be.
That would be part of
But we
complete
talk about
streets.
bike lanes.
Because we talked about ad nauseum, how do you identify bike lanes and bike, is
With
it stuff on the
sharrows,
road,
without
is it
sharrows, with
signs?
signs, with a lane.
So that's all part of complete streets.
Yeah, it is, but you're talking about striping the shoulders for bike lanes. And there should be,
As a-
if you're gonna mention that.
Oh, yeah, number,
As
yeah,
a bullet.
okay,
Should
okay.
put, like as a bullet, explore bike boxes, that's the new hot thing.
So what do they, so if they have a bike rack,
No, it's a bike, it's actually.
No, this is a-
It's on the road.
no, so what I mean is, so,
It's in front of the stop line for the cars, and it's so many feet, and it's all the way across, and the bikes can pull up in that lane on the side, and then go over and park in the bike parks at the light, so.
So the cars see them, they're right,
Yes,
literally right in
cars
front
see
of
'em.
them. Well, we hope.
It's a safety.
We hope they see it.
And there's also bolsters too. I've seen a lot of bolsters for pedestrians at
It's like a pedestrian
crosswalks too.
sanctuary, only
Yep.
for bikes.
Have you guys seen those? The bolsters, there's a lot in Hartford now that they just put in. And I was surprised on New Britain Avenue in Hartford.
Next to
Yeah, they're
oh yeah,
bolsters.
the bollards, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I've seen
And they're
that.
like on the corners, and they're also down the sides. It's like amazing how they're doing this, but it's supposed to be safe for pedestrians. The bolsters on New Britain Avenue in Hartford.
So it keeps cars from trying to drive
Yes,
the
cars
pedestrians?
would have to hit
How does it
that.
work in New York City?
The cars would hit that and not the pedestrians.
But the problem is, I've seen that in Hartford, the buses are so long, when they try to take a turn,
Oh, yeah.
believe me, they go right in front of the other car standing on the other lane.
Those are plastic
Yeah.
and they fold right down.
These? These are,
Oh, they're
these are,
foldable,
these are pretty hard. I've seen them.
The ones in Hartford are.
Are they?
The ones in Hartford are plastic.
This?
The Ballards.
Oh, they didn't look like plastic to me, and,
The ones on Weathersfield Ave.
no, the ones on New Britain Ave,
The ones by the school you're talking about?
by
There's
Trinity
also,
College,
there's
yeah.
also on Capitol Ave and everywhere. I mean, they,
It's interesting to
take-
see how they're doing that kind of stuff.
but it's like, when you take a turn, you have to take a wide turn. Okay.
Page 79, need a new transportation map from staff. Page 80, we talked about this, we were okay with infrastructure for piped natural gas. Again, this wired infrastructure, something didn't print here. But the only thing that I added here is that we need to make sure that we add new technology to this. That companies are installing 5G.
5Gs now.
Infills.
Yep.
And we need to, I personally believe that there needs to be regulations to install it. A person should know what's being installed in front of their house on a telephone pole, so, or utility pole, I should say, sorry. So I added 5G, it didn't print, but I added, that's what I added there.
Should-
Infill 5G,
Should solar go in here like,
it's not, well, wired infra, this is
okay,
wired.
so nothing?
Yeah, this is, because solar is not a utility for the town. These are all utilities.
I
We talk
mean,
about utilities here.
we have a solar farm, right? So what is that? Kim, don't we have a solar farm? in one of-
Down in phase 2 of our, in Rocky Hill Business Park, yes.
And how is that working? I mean, is that privately, we don't have anything to do, town?
The town does have an agreement with them on getting some of the energy, some of the benefit from that.
Right.
That's through the council. Yeah.
I don't know where we capture that or something, you know, it's, I mean, can think about that, I mean, that's something.
Actually, in action steps, we see it there.
Oh, we see that?
So on page 82, it's kind of our maintain and enhance infrastructure. Continue to have the stuff on the ground. Overhead wires, you know, on the ground, they present themselves. Tree trimming,
So for number 4, is that even something that? How are we balancing the frequency and extent of tree trimming for electrical reliability with the desire to maintain enhanced community character if we're not in control of the electrical lines?
Oh, the character, get the character out.
but we also, we can tell Eversource or whoever does responsible for the trimming, whether it's, you know, the high voltage part or the low voltage part, we can encourage basically to say, hey, get your arborists out here and start cutting.
There was a trimming plan, remember?
We told them to cut. I thought it was the
Yeah,
other way
last time.
around where, because I thought they were worried, they were doing all the cutting and maybe cutting too much.
Oh, no, I mean, it's their responsibility to maintain, it's their responsibility.
Yeah.
What is it, what is that called? Their resiliency plan. They slacked a little bit, but they're back on their game now.
Well,
Last couple major storms, people,
I just want the helicopter to go by with the big blades.
we'll see, they're talking about raising it.
Because they just cut a tree on the edge of my property, and literally took, it doesn't bother me, but took every branch off it, and all it is now a 30-foot tall, stalk. Nothing's, I mean, you might as well finish the job, you know?
Sometimes it's fun to see, like, you know,
Well,
like a
legally-
dent.
They can, an arborist is supposed to be doing it, but I don't think there's any arborist on this job site.
So how could they just
Well,
leave you
the
in
arborist,
stop?
arborist runs the
I don't know,
job, and then
it's
they
just
send it
gonna
to tree
run
cutters, and the
forward.
arborist comes
But
out
the
and checks.
arborist is the only person in the state that can actually trim a tree. Anybody can cut one down, but if you're pruning it or trimming it, it has to be an arborist.
So maybe they're gonna come back and finish it.
Yeah. We have seen like, the wire is going this way and they cut it like this. Everything else is up and,
Yeah, like a C.
Yeah, this would
Well,
definitely,
this is a
death by
preserving part of the
pruning.
tree.
Wow.
So,
okay.
now, on page 82, I added number 7, adopt regulations and guidelines for local location wireless communication antenna, which would include infill of 5G antennas being installed on utility poles. I added that part.
Now with the 5G antennas, they produce
They're just
gamma
info.
rays and all that stuff.
We can't go into that, that's not proven. You can do anything you want. I can show you studies
So
both ways.
That has to go through the DPUC. or-
No, siting council, they go through,
Is it siting council thing?
yeah.
Do they even need to get approval
So,
on the five, on
Yeah.
those?
yep,
Encouraged.
So
It
how,
is, it
so how
is.
does a resident know that it's gonna go on a pole?
Yeah, there's no
Supposed to
natural
notify
gas
them.
on Main Street.
You're supposed to notify the abutters before. I can't put an anchor in the ground without notifying the abutter.
Okay.
So all the.
So you don't think we
abutters-
need this?
I don't think so. Because then the issue is that the residents don't know that they can complain.
Do we even have the authority to?
yeah, I mean, I think our regulations, I don't think, because that's not within our,
I know, but this is saying adopt it, but it's not within our scope.
no, but I think it's not within our scope, look, because that goes
So
into.
then why did they come before us when they came to Maxwell Park and put one of these in?
Because that's on private property.
It's on town property.
Yeah.
So how do we have, why is it us? Why isn't it just town council?
I don't know.
They came before us for the design plan.
Zoning.
Yeah.
Was it a special permit?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is that the only thing
This
they
was
came
all-
for? Was that the only thing they came
All
for?
it was a 5G info. Verizon did it. Right, I believe it was Verizon.
Yeah.
But they put one in Maxwell Park.
They put a fence around the
Yeah,
island.
and they did all that. So they came before us. Yeah, it's all grown in now and.
I guess we should, I
Inside
guess
is
we
all
should
weeds and
figure,
the outside is
I
nice.
guess we should figure out whether it is regulated by siting council or whether we have the.
I say we leave it in and let someone out, you
somebody
know,
else
and, oh, well, 10 years from now, we say we can't do it.
So maybe, Kim, we can
Yeah,
just
I
follow
got it,
up,
remember.
see if we have, because I don't want to put something in where we don't have jurisdiction.
Yeah. I mean, we have satellite dishes in there and no one puts a satellite dish in anymore,
Huh?
except these TV people.
All right,
So this section here, and sorry, page 83 did not print, but this section is, future land use plan. So that's what this is. I changed the pictures to, but need some help from staff on this. New future land use plan. Plan consistency with, the state plan is page
That's
86.
Starbucks under, that picture of Starbucks,
That is Town Center West, yeah,
where I almost got hit the other day because people keep trying to go out the,
in through the outdoor.
yeah, well, there is
do that all
two
the
arrows
time.
going in and out, and there's no,
Where are you?
page 83, and there is no,
before.
people come out of Starbucks and they take a right, and then they just try to like weed their way through the traffic that comes in, because there's no turning radius there. It's really bad.
You should talk to the
That's in the parking lot?
zoning enforcement.
Yes, have you seen,
Well,
have
if
you
it's-
guys ever
if
been
it's-
there?
You should talk to the zoning enforcement.
Yeah, she knows. I tell her, I
Maybe-
bend her ear all the time.
Maybe we put a divider like what DOT did
Well,
right in
if this
front
is,
of
if this
Cumberland.
is private property, you don't put a divider.
But it doesn't, it's
Page
not,
83.
the turning radius is not there.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Page
Let's go.
83, no change except for the pictures.
Yep,
Page 84, really no change there. We talked about it. It's basically just
I think in mixed use, we said expand mixed use area. Because we did.
expand instead of possible future
yeah.
mixed-use areas.
Because we already did possible,
Okay.
Well, that, yeah,
Well, no,
that's
but-
consistent with like what we were talking about earlier about an overlays district for town center.
So do you want expand or possible future? What do you want to do there? Because this is just itemizing what these zones are.
This doesn't have any action verbs. in it.
No,
Yeah,
there
this
isn't.
doesn't have-
This is
that's
just an
fine.
itemization
no, it's
That's
of our
fine.
zones.
It's general.
So that's 84 is, 85 we need from staff. 86 is consistent with, well, staff needs to confirm, but this is from the last state
Guide plan,
conservation and development plan.
that's old.
Yeah, that's, we
So-
need to update that.
Yeah, so I need help with that.
Okay.
Page 87 is, again,
That's
State plan,
CROG.
yeah.
That's CROG who's going to do,
yeah, we talked about that CROG updates both of these pages for us, right?
so this we can get from OPM,
Okay,
from their website.
OPP.
Yeah, OPM.
In 87, CROG does that for us.
Yeah, because they'll have to make sure the plan consistency, so.
And then
We take a,
89,
we take
80
a snapshot of our town and
Yeah.
plug
Right.
that in.
And then 88, same thing.
So that's the regional plan, so what, we can just put CROG's, whatever CROG has, recent plan,
Okay.
so this would be.
89 is implementation. Nothing's really changed here. I added the plan implementation committee, the packed house.
Oh, man, yeah, look at that. Yes,
None of this printed here, but nothing's changed in this section except adding the picture.
see, so when we meet, look, it's, meeting is full, look.
Yeah,
A
wow,
lot of people come and attend,
wow.
see?
How many people did you pay to be there?
Actually, that was a well-attended meeting, and that
Huh?
was a good meeting.
I had to go
That
back,
was, good job,
any videos.
good job.
Page 91, kind of straightforward, unless you guys can see something different here. It's the same, implement the POCD,
Human
conduct regular meetings. Should we write in anywhere here that the POCD is a living document and it can change at any time, or?
It's in the front.
Because we said that, yeah, actually,
in the
it
front.
is, you're right,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
So it's covered.
And what's missing here is a legend on what all these little acronyms mean in these columns. That would be page 92.
Which we have in our
Yeah, I
current
just
one,
didn't, I
yeah.
just didn't add it. And then the back cover would be, for lack of anything better, just a town seal and that. We talked about pictures, we talked about whatever, but I just didn't know what to put back there, so I just put the seal. So if you guys have something creative you wanna put in the back, or you just wanna put the seal,
And
fine. Yeah, the end, Fin. My question to you, Kim, about this is that we don't print this, we actually send this to a printer and have it printed, right?
Can, right now, we're in a budget freeze, so
Just
we'll,
PDF.
we'll figure
PDF.
that out. 'Cause we have to figure that out for lots of things, so,
I think it could be what Kim did with the other ones. And then we can have PDF for people to use, that's it.
And then from there,
and we
commit
post it
to
online.
action, so we can just change the PDF as we go.
Yeah.
Until
Oh, that's
there's,
easier.
until, if and when the monies are available to actually print I don't know,
Yeah.
what are other towns doing? Are they just not, they're just keeping electronic?
You have it electronic, you have a few copies, I mean, people don't come and buy it like they
Yeah.
used to, so it's usually online, we post it on our homepage, so.
We used to buy, you know.
Paper to paper,
did I buy it before?
10 cents a sheet.
They used to buy it before,
Yeah, look at that.
yeah, back when the dinosaurs
This
roamed
used
the
to
earth.
mean something.
Yes.
People spend money.
Newspaper too.
Yeah. Gotta get my
Good job.
SAG royalties.
Victor POCD.
Gotta get your SAG royalties on it.
BOPCD.
Thank you, Victor.
Good job, Vic.
Thank you.
We're still working on it. This is a team effort, so.
All right, where did,
Need your help.
where
To
did
make my
the,
job easier, I just need your help.
you hand over the
So when we,
agenda?
so when, before we talk about the agenda, we talk about a timeline. We want this, when do we want this actual document?
This
Ready.
is, well, what happens is, it will,
You said-
15.
You said 4:15. 4:15 is what? A Tuesday? Is it a Wednesday? What is 4:15?
I want to get it to the council, actually want to get it to the council the end of next week.
So by the 11th.
It's gonna take a while just to confirm those
I know.
pictures.
Well, no,
know.
staff
No,
has
no,
all the
that should be
pictures.
fine.
They just have, that'll be tomorrow for them.
Kim is going to follow up. We should get ton of pictures.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll have them.
I have a meeting tomorrow night, too.
That's okay.
It's okay.
That's
Yeah, so,
delegate.
so
Delegate.
11, right? So
If
11.
their name can go in the POCD under town staff, and that, if they get the maps in. So, would you say that we're done by the 11th, close of business on the 11th?
I would say before.
So you can have it for whatever you need that Monday, the 14th, in PDF form?
Yeah,
I'd rather be early than
the,
late, so,
the council package goes Friday. I don't know when the package goes.
I would get them something,
They look nice too.
I would get them
Need one.
they don't need the final document right
No.
now.
Right, so we can,
Because-
but it needs
so
to
we
be
will
cleaned
have.
up, it needs to be
Yes,
cleaned up.
yes.
So you want to say, want to just, are we having another meeting next Wednesday, or are we good for
I
right now?
think we're
I
good. We're
don't
good,
know.
right?
We can go up until, Monday if need be, and then let me know, and we can always have another one if we need to.
So let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide.
So, what date do you want, Kim, so I can back time whatever I have to do?
I'm shooting I'd shoot for the early in the week, that way we can,
Okay, so I'm
So
gonna
I
shoot for
gotta
the
do-
9th, but
For the
it'll be way
9th?
before the 9th, depending on how this
Yeah.
data's coming in.
Yeah.
That'll be my goal. If, that means, that includes, for my sake, that includes any pictures or any maps that you guys wanna add, send them to my email, or send them to Kim, or send them to Kim and me. That way I can manipulate it, and then
that right here.
just don't send a picture, send a picture and tell me where you think it should go in the document.
I just sent you 2 bike box pictures.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't have any pictures of the farms, but I thought in the farm section, we should probably put a few pictures of farms.
Yeah, I also have to weave in pictures and text and not make this document 150 pages long too, so
Yeah, we don't want to,
we're at 92 pages. I'm okay putting the pictures in, but I've also been conscious of, I'm using pictures to break up text rather than represent. Unless you, but
Yeah,
again.
no, I mean,
we-
whatever you put in,
Send it.
make sure it doesn't add another page.
Yeah, send it and I'll get it in.
and we'll figure it out.
But
Yeah,
I-
whatever we put, we should put like latest pictures if you're putting something.
Yeah, I don't have,
Whatever.
Would that
I mean,
be like a
you
picture
sent me
of
that
the-
history picture
picture-
and
yeah,
it went
but-
in, so,
right. But the farm picture I sent you, that's the historic farm, and that was a painting.
yeah, it was a painting, that's why I didn't put it in, because it was a
Yeah.
painting.
But like I'm saying is maybe if somebody does anybody have,
The Historical Society sent me some
like,
pictures.
do we have a picture of the community farm? Or,
The new one?
I
Yeah, the
asked
new-
Economic Development
Yeah.
to send me nice
Yeah.
pictures of community farm.
So
And-
Michael should have it, because
And I
I'm not
asked them,
sure.
Yeah,
because I know, I've seen nice pictures and videos of
Yes.
the barn that
Of
was
the
built
barn,
and everything
yeah.
else. And beyond me just going down and taking a picture, it looks like there was some professional pictures done,
So
so,
I gave her the
Yeah.
guy name.
yeah.
He did all that.
So,
9th.
the 9th,
Yep.
okay.
All right.
Read through this document, and if you want to send me a picture of any edits or cut and paste or whatever, that works for me.
And then,
Yes.
I think we can just, once we give it to council, we can put it up on our website as well.
yes.
because, I mean, in
Yeah.
the time frame we had May,
And
but I
yeah,
think we
we-
can do combined
And then
both.
we need to, we'll have, I'll have John Murphy post something on Facebook.
Can we make sure that it says that this is a draft and that kind of thing, rather than, you know,
Yeah, and then we'll have public hearing on that particular and all that stuff, so, yep, okay. We talked about next steps, next meeting, we'll see how it goes, right? And then,
But know that we can always, anytime, you know,
Yep.
give 'em 48 hours, we
Okay.
can do that. I know it's not convenient for
Yep.
people, but that's how it has to go.
all right,
Sorry.
any other comments, Kim? You're all set,
All set.
all right? Can I have a motion, please?
motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.